Shakur Stevenson says that VASILY Lomachenko has limited skills. Ooh. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Shakur Stevenson did a recent interview, and in this interview, he spoke his mind regarding VASILY Lomachenko. This is a guy who's a fellow Olympian. It's a guy who has also shared the ring with Shakur Stevenson in the form of sparring. Direct quote, he says, quote, "It may have looked like Jermaine Ortiz is a little skillful with Lomachenko, but that's because Lomachenko is limited in skills his damn self." And this was via Ringside Views. And I posted this on my Instagram. Follow me at BoxingEgo1. Is this cap or fact? Now, y'all already know my opinion. In case you're new, I will rehash that opinion. Lomachenko, I don't have nothing against him, but I think Lomachenko is overrated, overstated, overhyped, however you want to call it, because he's good and he can fight, but he does the same thing in every fight and not in a good way. Like, so what do I mean? I mean, he thrives off of athleticism and a lot of movement, and that's just not necessarily being fundamentally sound. And after you had 400 amateur fights, after you move up in weight and these various things, the fundamentals will keep you in the game and give you longevity. And typically you see guys who kind of like the Roy Jones Jr.'s and Sergio Martinez's and Lomachenko. And as they get older, they stop looking like the same fighter, be it an injury like Matavia versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., where he tore up his knee and ligaments in his knee or whatever. And he was never really looked like the same Sergio after that 12th round with Chavez Jr., much bigger Chavez Jr., right? Guys like Roy Jones, when he slowed down just a touch, he became more vulnerable and obviously beatable because he lost, right? Fights like Antonio Tarver, again, amateur background, Olympian, fundamentals, things like that. So I'm a big proponent of guys who have fundamental skill. Not just offense, but offense and defense. And people always say Lomachenko got the matrix and all this stuff, but all that moving and all the stuff he does, his face be touched up at the end of the fight, and it looked like he been through a meat grinder, and his face is all tattered. And there's multiple fights at this point where you can say that he lost. Orlando Salido fight, he did lose. You have the Teofimo Lopez fight, he did lose. Gary Russell fight was a lot closer than a lot of people give credit for. And Gary Russell Jr. in a close fight wasn't awarded a knockdown. And Gary Russell Jr. said he was extremely sick or something. So take that with a grain of salt. But most recently, Jermaine Ortiz, I thought Ortiz beat him. So now people are starting to see what I've been saying, and Shakur Stevenson is saying it too. I think Lomachenko is a one-trick pony. The thing in boxing is sometimes that one trick, if people aren't familiar with it, then you can get off with it. But at the end of the day, it's better to have more tools in your arsenal and multiple ways to get it done. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you probably don't know ish about boxing. But here's the thing. Just ask yourself this question. Name a fight where Lomachenko won the fight and he didn't do a bunch of moving and jumping and moving and sidestep and pivot and shifting. And that wasn't the whole game. Because when it comes to a guy like Floyd Mayweather, I've seen him in fights be on the back foot and score and pot shot against some of the bigger guys or whatever. I've seen him fight southpaws. I've seen him fight orthodox fighters. I've seen him fight older fighters. I've seen him fight younger fighters. I've seen Floyd Mayweather fight and he's more the bully and walking guys down. I've seen him on the back foot, as I mentioned. So he's giving it to you in a variety of ways. Left, right, defense be on point, high guard, shoulder roll, Philly shell, things like that. So at the end of the day, Floyd has multitudes of ways that he's showed to get it done, especially guys that are tricky styles like Emmanuel Burton, Emmanuel Augustus, drunken monkey type of style. I mean, he can fare well with that. They purposefully, and I credit Top Rank for this, they have clever matchmakers. They kept Lomachenko away from certain styles. Like, he could have fought Mikey Garcia, which would have been, at the time, at lightweight, a dangerous fight. Never made the fight, right? Instead, Bob Arum was bad-mouthing Lomachenko, or excuse me, Mikey Garcia, right? They haven't put him in with like a Eastside Pitbull Cruz, which would be closer to the Salido style that already beat him. He never did a Teofimo rematch, never did a Gary Russell Jr. rematch, probably won't do a Jermaine Ortiz rematch. You see what I'm saying? And great champions typically have to avenge their losses, rematch their close or tough fights, or if like, let's say Andre Ward, some people didn't like the outcome of the Kovalev, so he ran it back immediately and did it again. Lomachenko's never doing that. So I feel where Shakur is coming from. Shakur is another great example of a kid that got all the tools and fundamentals and the mindset and puts it all together. Shakur will be right in front of you, and his defense is packed tight, and you can't hit him. And he's getting off with counters and getting off with lefts and rights, and his jab is on point, one of the best jabs in boxing. And he's not deterred by like an Oscar Valdez type of style. Robinson Conceição, that's how you know the mark of a great fighter. Robinson Conceição, he beat Oscar Valdez, in my opinion, and he fights Shakur, and he loses every round and looks horrible. He looks like they didn't even belong in the ring together. Lomachenko's in there with Jose Pedraza, somebody that Tank dominated in a step-up fight, and he's life and death with him, can't get him out of there, and his face looked crazy at the end of the Mariaga fights or Pedraza fights, stuff like that. So I really see where Shakur's coming. Lomachenko's cool, but look for the excuses to come. If he fights Devin Haney and if he loses, now like, oh, Loma's old, and you know how old media does. They're going to come with a million different reasons why it happened. But you're the ones that kept him on the pound-for-pound list, said he was the GOAT and 2 gold medals and this, that, and the third. Shout out to Shakur. And I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.